Kane! It's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be. Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe football show and another episode of Late Night Leeds. Thank you all for being here. Please smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, hit that notification bell and all that jazz. Of course, I've got with me tonight, I think second time on now for everyone's favourite American is, of course, Gabe, representing One Leeds. How are you doing, my man? All good?
Doing good, man. Doing good. That intro music is very wrestling walking.
Yeah. So, someone actually tweeted me the other day, right? Well, I say the other day, it was about a week ago, with this band and the name. And I was like, what the fuck's this? So I YouTubed it. And it's actually a band did this song. And for whatever reason, it's now obviously free music you can use. But it was a group from America, bro. So, yeah, it's actually a song out there. Best believe himself, mate. Yeah. So yeah, it's actually a banger.
It was like someone wrote this song.
And they didn't get self-made off it because it's now free.
No, exactly, because I'm using it for free on YouTube. Yeah. Exactly, bro. And your debut on the show, representing Ought to Know Better, regular watcher and a massive wrestling fan like myself. It's Jay. How
That's
you doing,
me.
bro? All right.
Yeah, I'm good, mate. It's nice to be invited on. I'm trying to convince myself it's not because I've got no social life and you actually wanted me here.
Are you both actually wrestling fans? Are you both? I know you are, Joe, but Jay, are you massive?
Big time. I went to Money in the Bank. I went to All In at Wembley. I'm going to next year's All In at Wembley, which we actually got complimentary tickets for because they gave us restricted view this time, but didn't advertise it.
I'm going to have to disclaimer just because everyone thinks we make money doing everything on YouTube, but we're getting no kickback for this. That Netflix series, The Wrestlers, I've been watching that recently.
I listened to your voice note, bro.
I've not yet.
I was going to bring it up.
I've not.
And listen, like anybody that knows anything about my bougie self, like wrestling is not really my game, right? But something about it, just these local folks doing what they really care about, not getting paid for it in really rough arenas. It's very, very compelling. So The Wrestlers on Netflix. Watch it.
It's like bands, isn't it? When they start out, you just want people to come and watch, even if it's one or two. Do you know what I mean? You don't care. You're doing what you love. So if you get paid at the end, it's a bonus.
Have you ever had this before? Al Snow? You've got an Al Snow.
Al Snow is the guy that I guess runs that. This guy must have watched it because Al Snow runs that.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought he was saying Jay looked like Al Snow.
Jay's got a mannequin head off.
Charming. You look like mildly cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, I'll take it, mate.
Every time Joe and I have a debate, I make a Vince McMahon getting stunnered by Stone Cold.
Yeah. Watch The Wrestler, good movie. It is a good movie, actually, to be fair, with Mickey Rourke, I think. Great movie, yeah. Tonight, folks, on the agenda, we're going to be talking about Diego Llorente. We're going to be talking about a potential new recruit in the back room. In the back room, not really in the back room, in the boardroom, sorry, should I say, Jordan Miles. And then there's some other little bits that I want to have a little chinwag about as well that I'll just throw in there and we'll just have a chat as we do. So let's start first and foremost. So I was tagged in this, actually. It's been reported over in Scotland in the Daily Record, in fact, that Leeds are attempting to land Aberdeen's head of recruitment, Jordan Miles. Now, basically, Jordan Miles only recently went to Aberdeen from West Ham, according to the article, in July. But now Leeds want to offer him a quick-fire return to England to become a major player in the transfer moves. What that looks like, we'll have to wait and see, and Gabe's going to give us a heads up on that. But, yeah, apparently we're pushing for a deal to bring him in even before the January window opens. I don't know what his job's been like at Aberdeen. I'm assuming it's gone well. Otherwise, Leeds United wouldn't have been sniffing around. But, Gabe, just on the role itself, because we know you like your analytics and stuff. A head of recruitment, an analyst, what does that look like, and what's he going to be bringing?
Yeah, to understand what he's going to do and what a job like this entails, you want to look back at the guy himself. So he's got a track record in the championship as well with Derby County before Derby County is what it is today, and Ipswich Town Then went to West Ham. He was there for 7 years. His first job there was he was the performance analyst for the first team. So it's sort of, how they all wear those like mini shirts now with the that they look at biometric data.
Red zone and that, isn't it? Red zone or something?
Yeah, they do there's a bunch of analytics. First, it's like the data of like, heart rate and stuff. And then they look at distance traveled, all that kind of stuff. So they were just looking at team performance individually there. And then on top of that, it's looking at their analytics from match to match to match. So you're submitting reports and saying, hey, this guy's, regardless of what you see on the pitch with your eyes, you can't see everything. Some things are leveled. Do he's really good at this? This area's dropped off a little bit. And it's for the decision makers to decide whether that stuff's significant or not. But you need to have the data to make those decisions. From them, 2018 was promoted to the head of recruitment analysis. So what that means is it's not the same as the transfer market, right? Recruitment, because of data and analytics now, is not just scouting anymore. So the scouts go out and look at guys, but typically you're not just going to like when Brent Souness got a call about some guy called Ali Daya. Those days are long gone, right? You're not just getting calls about players anymore. Typically, most clubs that have some level of sophistication keep metrics to a certain degree, right? And so scouts and folks in recruiting departments will be looking all the time for players that have, and every system plays different. Every manager and director of football has things that they like more than others. And they'll be looking for certain, they're called KPIs, key performance indicators. And that's how you initially identify. It's not the only way players get identified, but it's a big part of it now. It's why Brighton's been so successful. They've been able to recruit people, players that nobody had any eyes on, because they have a really sophisticated data and analytics program over there. So what this guy did for West Ham, and then what he was hired to do at Aberdeen, was to be in charge of that whole back room. So anybody that's doing analytics of any kind, and what does it all culminate towards? It culminates towards when it's getting close to transfer season. Daniel Farke, Nick Hammond, and whoever else is in that room making those decisions on players, there needs to be a short list, and it's not just guys the manager's heard of. It's been presented by this director of recruitment. So that's what he would do here at Leeds United. Now, long term, we know that Hammond's here as a consultant for 2 more years. Every time I say Hammond, I think of John Hammond, Jurassic Park. He's here for 2 more years. How long term is he going to be here after that? I don't know. There are other people in the larger staff that could probably do the role that he's doing as well. So maybe he's a successor, maybe he's not. In the case of Miles. But it's definitely an analytics hire. And it looks as though the 49ers are looking to beef up our department in that area, which wouldn't surprise me at all. And it seems like, honestly, if you're going to get to the Premier League, if you want to stay there, never mind get to the Europa League slots or whatever, the line between mid-table and relegation is so thin now. You have to get every competitive edge. And unless you're going to spend Todd Bowley money, and even then, that only turns you into a mid-table club, Chelsea.
Yeah.
You have to have a leg up on these things. We don't live in the age anymore where you can ignore data and analytics. You simply have to be on top of it all.
100%, mate. You bang on the money with regards to that. And Christopher, I think you're right in saying statistics can be interpreted in so many ways. So good eyes should always be. And that's the whole point, right? Yeah. There is a group of people, right? So you would have this new guy with Nick Hammond, with Greta Steinson, and obviously Daniel Farke. This guy's not coming in to run the whole shop, as it were. But Jay, it's important as a football club, we have more than one person running it. Because as we've seen in more recent times, Victor Orta, and listen, I was listening to On the Continent the other week, which is a podcast focusing all around the Europeans' top 5 leagues. I tweeted something out about it. Basically, Orta's having an absolute nightmare over in Sevilla. They already want him gone because he's oversawn the oldest squad age they've ever had. There's no one to resell, all this sort of stuff. And that's the risk you take when you give it to one man. So it's important as a football club under this 49ers model that we do this, right? Make sure we've got the best people to make the best decisions.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm glad Gabe said about what his role was going to be, because I was saying to you guys before we started, I was worried he was going to come and replace Nick Hammond, who I think is doing a great job. So I wouldn't want to see that end prematurely. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to do some actual planning, then we've got to be looking for players who could play for us if we don't go up next season, as well as players who could play for us if we do go up. And I don't think Victor Orta ever had anything like that going on. I think he would just played Football Manager on a night, saw some good players and decided, oh, we should sign him. I genuinely think that he did most of his scouting from Football Manager. I really, really do. Because some of the players he signed seem like they were signed purely on numbers, stats, perceived attributes. Some of those players, surely, if they'd been watched, they might have been identified as people who maybe wouldn't cut it in the English game.
That's a great point, Jay. So one of the terms I mentioned earlier was KPI, a key performance indicator. Those decision makers, they determine what those are. You can get not quite an infinite, but there are so many data points you can look at. And Victor Orta always struck me as the kind of guy, and Jesse Marsch to a lesser degree, but definitely Jesse Marsch doesn't mind if a player gets dispossessed quite a bit. So for him, a key performance indicator isn't any of those data points or how they keep the ball. For him, it's how quickly you recover the ball. And if that's fine, if that's the style you want to play and you think that style can work. But you could probably step back and look at one key performance indicator I would look at is how many systems play this style and how many of them are successful at this particular level. There is data for that. So the enemy isn't data itself, as you quite rightly said. The enemy is when you have somebody that looks at every key performance indicator and says, oh, well, this stat looks good. That stat looks good. And you haven't looked at the things that are the most important to your club. Like, well, do they actually score goals? I don't care what their XG is. Do they actually score goals? Oh, they don't. Or that they underperform their XG significantly. Okay, well, why is that? Distance covered. Is that really what we want most in a central attacking midfielder who we want to add number 10 qualities? I'm not sure that is. So, you could, to reinforce the comment there, it's a good comment. But I like to think that smart folks in the game are able to determine what metrics are most impactful. And maybe you can unearth some hidden gems, but data is not. Sometimes people like to make it out like it's this sort of hidden science and you just have to be some kind of algorithmic genius to figure it out. No, just read the terms. They tell you what they are.
Yeah, no, it's great. I just lovely comment there. I have to get it up. Michael Whiteley says Sevilla absolutely stockpiling keyboards.
My favorite reference to this channel goes keyboard rap. Oh, it's the best.
Oh God, yeah, must be doing something like that. Yeah, it's not going well for him. Jay, you mentioned something there, right? About players that could come in if we're in this league. Players if we get promoted. So. And this isn't to lead anyone down a certain road now. I'm thinking more, underneath, because I know where this conversation could end up, because me and Gabe are on opposite ends of the goalkeeper, so we're not allowed to bring up a goalkeeper.
Are we on opposite ends anymore? It sounds like we were a little bit more measured after that.
Yeah, we were.
I feel like I'm getting a baptism of fire here.
No. I was thinking of, say, like when we get promoted, because I was thinking about this earlier. Obviously, Daniel Farke had his press conference, and he said about, Poveda going, does that then give an opportunity for someone else to come into the squad that hasn't before? You've got Joffy, you've got Joseph, you've got, I put Poveda in this mix. Of the squad players, not those in the first 11, of the squad players, who long-term do you see having a future in the Premier League with Leeds United? Is there any at all, or do we need a full bench?
I think Joseph potentially, but you want to see him get some game time at this level to get a more of a feel for him at first team level. We don't, all we have with him at the moment is statistics, really. We don't have that first team experience to look at. So, we need that. I think, would Anthony be classed as a squad player at this point?
I'm worried he goes back in January,
I don't think there's a clause. I think it was said that there wasn't, but
a clause.
Yeah, they'd have to.
Joe's still scarred. I remember being on this show like a year during the summer, and you were just like, the 49ers have to be involved in the clauses. They've still scarred you on the clauses.
Oh God. Well, I mean, I remember that.
Yeah, actual Leeds players, let's say. So Nonto would come into that, and you've got Danny throws a name at you. What about Creswell? Does Creswell have a future in the Premier League with Leeds?
I was going to pick him next and say yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely for me, and I'm sure we'll get onto it. But the whole rumor about him going to Middlesbrough, that's a non-starter for me. You cannot let him go. He's young enough that he can have a little bit of patience for me, but you do have to throw him a bone to a degree.
Yeah, you do.
But that's another issue. I do believe he could go with us. Nonto, of course, he could go up. He's shown he can play at that level, although he'll have to, pull his socks up a bit compared to what he's been like recently. Squad players beyond that, I mean, you're getting into your Bamfords, Coopers, and Aylings now, aren't you? And I don't want to see any of them go up with us. No. I don't want to see any of them if we're still in this division, being completely honest. I've been really sort of forward about this on our podcast because this is my opinion. I'm happy to keep them, as squad players. I wouldn't boot them out because they've done a lot for us, but I wouldn't be pushing them towards being a first team player for us again at any level.
They don't get new deals, do they, Jay? You're not giving them new deals. And
not for me.
From me as well. Yeah.
Not for me, because you're just paying them for just being there then. It's, they are etched in our history now. There'll always be players who went up with us and were there when we got out of that league for the first time in what seemed like an eternity. And they'll always, freedom at City for me sort of thing. But you have to move with the times. And then, going beyond the old guard, you've got Perkins then, who I don't think stays anyway, because no one said anything good about him since he came to Leeds. Beyond that, I don't know. I'm not up on players at youth level or anything.
Yeah, so it's fine.
I'm not sure.
Am I, mate. Sean McGurk's getting a lot of noise, but again, it's a massive step up from that to proper men's football. But a lot of people in the chat, Gabe, saying no to Creswell. I.e., he can't get in the squad now, so why would he get in the squad? But do you not think he maybe has age on his side, or is it like, where do you stand on Charlie? I think he's been hard done by giving a contract and played about bloody 2. I don't know. I think.
Well, you'd rather have a guaranteed contract than not, and so and they can always loan him out in January. I would imagine that he's probably going to be looking for that. I think the thing is, like, he's youngish, but he's old enough where he should be getting games at this level. And he did play well for a defense that we say well. He played relatively well for a defense that wasn't good over at Millwall last season.
He showed promise.
He did. But I guess this is probably why I can't see him getting into the Farke team or any Daniel Farke team. He's a bit of an old school center back. He's a bit of a blunt instrument. And because he's young, he's not one of those like wise beyond his years youngsters. He's a bit rash sometimes. Some of the decisions he makes, when to step up, when to sink back, when to make a hard challenge in the box when you don't have a clear sight of the ball. Now, it's easy to criticize. I mean, I played center half. It's a difficult position, and he's a good young center half. But if I'm thinking for the good of the player, he definitely needs a loan in January. Am I saying there's no way I can see him ever getting into our team next season? No, I'm not saying that. But if Daniel Farke is our manager, I can't see him ever being first choice. And honestly, at this point, if you're not playing, you're not developing, and he needs to iron some of the immaturity out of his game. So I would say most likely next season he won't be here. And I would say that with most of the younger class. I would say that the ones that aren't in that, like the ones that are, I mean, the ones that are in the academy and playing at the U level, I'm not speaking of right now. But the ones everyone's calling for, like, why don't we get Mateo Joseph in? Well, we would see him if he was at that level. A manager has no incentive to just. I think the only manager I know that has a policy on young players and doesn't like them is Jose Mourinho. Everybody else seems like, well, if he can help our team and we can improve us, then let's bring him in. I don't think, from what I've seen, the players we've sent on loan so far have not done well. And honestly, like, I've had this debate a lot, and I know it angers many in the fan base, so I'm going to try to keep it as measured as possible. But when you're a young player and you have a skill set so limited, or a player profile so limited, that you need certain pieces around you to be successful, like, you have to play in this system with this kind of guy. Managers aren't looking at like a 20-year-old who's unproven and saying, you know what, he's never scored goals in this league. Let's form our team around him. I'm talking about Gelhardt, right? Gelhardt, for me, is a novelty flashes player who has a couple moments of quality that make you think, oh man, there's a player in there. But you know what he's not done? The stuff that the players that the cream rises to the top, doesn't it? Like, the quality is undeniable. We put Archie Gray in a position he's only played for Young England, and he's been excellent. He's going to keep Jed Spence out of the team. That shows you're a player. He's 17.
Yeah, it's mad.
That's what you have to do to win a spot against senior players, even at this.
I actually forgot about Joffrey.
Yeah.
Joffrey,
I mean, I just think of when he went to Sunderland, and I was really hoping he'd do well because he'd come back. And all I could see in the comments of every Twitter was, "Oh, he needs this person. Oh, he's not being set up to succeed." It's not a team's job to set an individual player up to see the stat pad. It's not. You have to go out there and make an impact. And I just don't think. I think he'll probably end up being a very, very good League One striker.
Yeah, I think that's my hope for him is because I live in Sunderland, as you know, and obviously I go to the bookies on the road. And none of them rated him, None of them rated him.
No.
And I think a lot of that was they were chasing the playoffs. They had JUSTJOE who was scoring goals, and then he came in and they were expecting, he's come from Premier League, and it just didn't work out. And I do think alone in the Championship makes him a second striker, makes him an option. I think he should go to League One and be the main guy. Lead the line for a bit if that's going to be his position, or play in the 10 week in, week out if that's going to be his position. This is the thing. No one knows what Joffrey's position is. That's why if I was to select who I would want taking that pervader spot, if you like, it's Joseph, because I know Joseph can either play up front or off the left, and that's where he's going to play. And he has a chance, if he comes in and gets goals, to usurp Bamford in the pecking order. And then it's like, right, Bamford, you're now surplus to requirements. So we'll have to wait and see how it develops. But look, exciting that the club are making moves, and will be. I mean, Gabe, I know you've mentioned this is more of a long-term appointment, but in terms of January, it's around the corner. That's why the content's ramping up for all content creators, because the news is starting to feed out now. What do you expect Leeds United to do? Like, in my head, I'm thinking 2 loans. So I'm thinking a left back and a 10, but that's the minimum. Where's your head at with it?
What I expect them to do is not what I want them to do.
Okay.
So
what do you want, clear. And then what do you expect?
What I want is reinforcement at center half and left back. That's what I want.
Which side? Centre half, left centre? Oh, right centre.
It doesn't matter. I don't buy into the listen. Having played the position, I don't buy into the whole. Connor and I fight about this all the time. Oh, you can't have 2 left foot. No, play with both feet. Just get a guy who can play with both feet. It's fine. Unless they're not a true center half. Anyhow, only because it's not because Byram isn't good enough. He's good enough for this level. I don't know if he's good enough for the Premier League. That's something I'd say. But at this
level, there.
Yeah, right. That's
he
true.
Was there.
At this stage, he's just injury prone, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I don't think Junior Firpo is ever going to work out for us. I think he'll be out the door in January, and I hope he is. And it's not so much at this point. It's not even about slagging him off or criticizing him. Sometimes a move just doesn't work out. And
it's not worked for either side at all. He can't be happy.
I'm sure he's not. And look, he obviously came here because he wanted to play for Marcelo Bielsa. Marcelo Bielsa is gone. Some people aren't suitable for the Leeds climate, weather, fan pressure. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. And sometimes when you've had bad experiences, you've been through a relegation battle, sometimes these people are human beings. And sometimes you just don't want to do it anymore. Fine. No hard feelings. I'm fine to send him out. So because of that, I say left back, and center half help. That's what I want us to do. And of course, I've mentioned this, and I'm not trying to start a route. I would like to see us bring in a keeper, but I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're probably going to stick with Meslier, which is fine. I hope he improves his performances. Because as many have said, and I agree with this, I don't think he's going to cost us promotion unless we are in a playoff. And then he might.
I've seen you say that the other day, actually, and you're, oh god, and I was like,
well, it's really more. It's really more of like, given some of the errors you've seen long term, would you? Now I'm just talking about Melee. I didn't want to do this, but
do you know what though, Gabe? Listen, I was thinking about you earlier because I checked the most chances created in the league, big chances created, sitting at the top of the tree, is Leeds United with 53 with Blackburn.
Yeah,
so he's going to be tested on.
He might
Saturday.
Be.
So let's hope.
What better way to raise your save percentage than save some shots? But don't misunderstand me. Don't misunderstand me. I want Ilan Melia to be successful. But it's one of those things. You know, you talk about the club, and every week we talk about things that are good. Well, if you have everybody operating the top 5th to 10th percentile of the league, and then you have the goalkeeper, doesn't necessarily mean he is this, but who's operating in the bottom 4 in some categories. you have to ask questions, and that's what we do, and that's show content. But anyway, I've answered a very short question, very, very long. Center half, left back, and then I think we'll see 1 or 2 max signings.
Yeah.
Maybe for depth. I just don't see anything else.
Yeah, okay. No worries. Come on then, Jay. Where do you want and where do you think they will?
I'm going to be really boring and agree with Gabe, but I want centre half and left back, to be honest.
Really?
I've seen all the talk.
Do you agree with Gabe that the left and right doesn't matter? Because for me, I think it does. I think...
No, it probably does matter, Joe. I'm just saying I don't see why it should.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying. No, 100%.
Scout players can play both sides.
Yeah, fair.
I believe that if you're a professional footballer...
Swansea, by the way. Ben Cabango at Swansea can play anywhere across the back four, so he would be ideal. But go on, Jay. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
It's all right. I believe that if you're a professional footballer, there's certain things you should be able to just do to a certain level by default. And being able to pass a side-footed ball 10 yards with your left foot, if you're a right-footed player, should...
Oh no!
Oh no! Just
as he was agreed with it, froze.
I froze, and it happens every now and again.
What I would say to you in response to that, oh Jay, what's going on? He's all over the shop. But while Jabe sorts his Wi-Fi, Jabe, and Gabe,
I'm still here.
I like it. But Anthony cost Man United 90 million, and he hasn't got a right foot at all. I have a better right foot than Anthony, so just putting that out.
Yeah, but we don't. Please, Manchester United may have the most. What we thought Victor Orta was bad.
Yeah, true.
They may be.
They are the gift that keeps giving. To be fair, so we don't want them to change what they're doing. No, I just think you should be able to do certain things, and it's better if you can have a natural left footer on the left, but it shouldn't be like a deal breaker for me.
No.
I mean, I see all the talk as well about people want a number 10, and my problem with that is who do you drop? There's nobody that I'd want to take out the team to put someone else in
100%
in the front line. Just nobody.
It's like what Jamie's saying here. Number 10 was a priority, but because of the front four, it's not like who do you replace? No, I hear it.
You just mentioned chance creation. Joe, here's my question for you.
Go on.
If the lad out in Germany, who apparently...
Amiri, yeah? Yeah.
So reports have been that he's obviously unhappy because he hasn't gotten a kick. And I don't blame Xavi Alonso for saying, well, you don't want to be here, or you're flirting with it. You're not in my plans. And what a job he's done this season, by the way. But there have been rumors that he was more hedging towards what his family wanted. Now he wants to make his own decision, and he wants to come to Leeds United. Would you have him?
Yes, I would, man. I personally would. Like, I think a lot of, and I always say this now, Nonto was the barometer early part of the season. If you come in, and listen, we can't even sit here and say if you come on and score loads of goals, because Nonto since his return haven't really done it at all. But we're still like, yeah, it's good to have Nonto back. So yeah, I would. Listen, if Daniel Thacker liked him then and still likes him now, I don't think, to be honest, I don't think the club will, because the way Angus spoke about him in the Square Ball pod, he was like, nah, we told him he can find his own way back kind of thing. So I don't see how the club go back there.
He would have to come back on his hands and knees and say, I'm so sorry. And to be honest, fair enough. If he does that and he wants to be that bad, then fine. He can kiss Parag's ring.
Yeah, exactly.
They can take 10 grand a week less as well.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. How much money too would we spend?
Of course. Yeah. But yeah, I do think, if he's a specialist number 10 and listen, I think he would be good enough for this level, let's be honest. So but listen, there's maybe other options out there, but I just think the noises are that Leeds United don't want to spend January. It's more a case of loans. I think that seems to be the general consensus coming out from the noises that you hear from those that were at this behind closed doors meeting with the trust and whatnot with Parag and Angus. I think it was very much loans was the.
Do you know why that is, Joe? There are a couple reasons. So number one, remember FFP, it works on a fiscal year annual basis. So if you want to have real juice, if you get promoted next, or even replacing next season, going through a January where you don't really spend very much money is a huge asset, right? So that's number one. Number two, we talked about this on the debrief as well last week. If you do get promoted, You don't want to have a bunch of players on the books that are championship level, tailor-made, when you need to bring in some Premier League level players on permanent deals. You don't want to have that. So having them on loans, they all come off the books. And I know everyone's talking about, do we just go to Aston Villa, to Tottenham in January and say, give us Joe Rodon, we'll pay the 15 mil. I say no, and here's why. If you buy him for 15 million now, it's absolutely 100% on the books, and so is that money against your FFP. You can always, if you decide, and to be honest, we don't know. I'm going to take some heat for saying this. We don't know how some of these guys are going to do in the Premier League. Pascal Struck looks very, very good at this level. He's had a couple down performances lately, but on the season, he's been very good this season.
Yeah.
It's a different competition. Dan James looks amazing. Not taking anything away from Dan James right now. It's different in the Premier League. It's harder. The Premier League now, the level of it now, even go back 10 years, not even close. Some of the teams that were mid-table back then would get absolutely waxed by some of the teams that are threatened in relegation right now, just because of the way finances work and investment goes in the Premier League. So you want to be able to say in the summer, okay, we've seen him for a whole season. We think this guy is Premier League quality, both on what we've seen, what the data is telling us, what the manager's saying, and then we can get him for this money. And then you spend the money. Going in January potentially hamstrings you. And I'm not even reading the comment section. I can already know what people are saying. We're in the championship now. But still, if we stay in the championship next season,
agreeing with you. They're agreeing with you, Gabe.
Great.
We must have a lot of the One Leeds crowd in tonight.
I know.
These are his people.
We're hijacking the stream. If we stay in the championship, there will also be some players that will leave. I know we don't like to think about it, but likely that will happen. Yeah, and I cannot see Crescencio Somerville finishing with what could be 20 goals and like 20 assists and staying in the championship. Just as his agent, I wouldn't allow it. I'd say, you're nuts. You're 22, 23 years old. You need to go play and get that top money and get paid. And because you could have a hamstring blow or an ACL blow and never play again. 100%. Like, that's how this business works. So I think that it seems like to me, I know that we want to spend money. We want to try to boss the league. I get it. We really want that second spot. But if Daniel Farke thinks that he can get us through with a low spending January and get us into top 2 automatic promotion, then listen to Farke and do it, because financially we're gonna have to spend. We spent what was it, 140 million quid last summer with Jesse Marsch? We're gonna have to spend more than that, to be competitive to stay in the division. So
I agree. I agree massively, mate. I think you've hit the nail on the head with a lot of points there, mate, to be honest. I don't think he was saying that. I hope he wasn't, because I really rate Strauch. It might be something we disagree on again here, but I really rate
I didn't say that. I think he struggled, but I think there are a lot of reasons for it.
Of course, for sure. Liam B, that's a bit of a pipe dream. There's no way Fornells, who was a European Cup winner with West Ham, even if he isn't getting game time, drops out of the Championship.
Maybe for Christmas, Liam.
I'm thinking he goes, he could go to La Liga, he could go to France, he could go anywhere, mate, to be honest. So I don't think Fornells is going to drop to the Championship. Do you know, here's a wild one for you. I actually seen someone put on one of my videos, we should go for Ramsdale on loan. I'm like, in what world are we living in? Yeah, from us. Like, in what world are we living in? That
you don't go from Arsenal to the Championship.
Yeah, it's a bit.
He'll still be open to play. He wants to go to Euros or whatever, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, he should be playing for me, but there you go.
Yeah, he should.
Newcastle need a goalie now, though. Newcastle need a goalie now that Pope's out for a few months, so they probably could go. David Laddie says, so has Llorente gone? We'll move on to Llorente now. So basically, Llorente's deal was like this, right? You play 50% of the games. That then triggers a clause, which means you will then buy him for 5 million euros, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, they've played 15. He's played about 12 of them. According to reports in Italy, he's definitely going to hit that quota. I even sent the articles through to Andrea, who then had a look on the Italian side of it and said, yes, look, Llorente is playing actually really well. He's got a lot of cover. At times he's playing in his back three, and Jose Mourinho is a big fan of his. So, okay, same can't be said for Rasmus, but Diego Llorente is going well.
No one's a fan of Rasmus.
No, exactly. So
not even his mum.
Yeah. Jay, we must be happy about this. I mean, we've lost a hell of a lot of money. I mean, we signed this guy on a new deal because apparently, according to Victor, centre-backs will all of a sudden be going to come premium.
Oh, God, yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, and we've lost like 13 million on him, so I don't know what his plan was there. But happy with this news, mate?
Yeah, I'd snap their hand off. I just want him gone from the club, like most of them that have gone out on loan. I would take anything for any of them to get them out.
Yeah. No,
wages off the books.
Yeah,
exactly.
Don't have to worry about loaning them constantly till the contracts run out. I don't want to do any favours for any of them. Take what you can get and get rid. I'm over the moon by this news. I was at the point before he left that if I saw one more Cruyff turn in his own box, I would have got on the pitch myself and attacked the guy.
Just 2-footed him.
Yeah, pretty much.
What's funny about Llorente is when he first got to Roma, his performances were pretty shocking. But as you mentioned, Andre, I said, I mean, it was really good in a 1-0 victory against Inter Milan. Really good in a 0-0 draw against Lazio. And if you haven't noticed, Roma are 4th in the table now, and he wasn't their first choice to play a lot was because of that horrible start. But injuries have hit the Roma team pretty hard, and he's done a solid job. And if you're Roma, these Serie A clubs don't have the money. I mean, it turns out there are some repercussions if you cheat with money. Just ask Juventus over in Serie A. So the aggressive investment of last 10, 15 years has kind of gone from Serie A. Now, sorry, my Siri just started.
I was going to say she's chatting to
my iPad. I don't even know how it just sort of happened.
They're listening to you, Gabe.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so in that way, it's good for us that he's played well because now they'd be willing to take like $5 million it's a good deal and it's good money for us to get. And it's so that, like Jay just said, the wages off the books.
Yeah.
For Rasmus, and I mean, I just don't see under anything. He scored a deflection goal the other day, and he celebrated like he just raided the English coast with his Viking brethren. I mean, I've never seen a celebration of such a fluke goal before. That's proper Rasmus, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's why people fell for it. We were all like, yeah, man, this guy's a warrior.
Yeah.
He made one tackle in preseason. Was like,
yeah. Shaved head and a bit of passion goes a long way with the fan base, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, Jay, you look like you can raid a shore right now. You got that Viking beard going on.
It's how I scare people off and keep people away from me. Mate.
Do you know what though? I remember when Belushi signed, and on Twitter his actual handle was something like Warrior.
The Warrior,
and we were all like that. Yeah, but Belushi, what a guy! And we all ended up booing him off the pitch in a friendly. You know what I mean? So yeah, these characters never go down well, to be honest. As much as we like them,
there's a lot of similarities between football and wrestling, isn't there?
Yeah, true.
That's a podcast idea.
To be fair. Yeah. Wow, yeah, that is one. Maybe we should get it off the
wrestle ball.
Yeah. Rasmus. Wow. While we're on that, right? It's not going well for Aronson. Aronson's not even getting in the squad. Rasmus, it's gone shocking for. I mean, if you'd go, I remember Andrea when Rasmus had played, he sent us the hashtag to look at, and the responses to Rasmus when you translated him into English were like, what is this guy? He's not even a footballer, and all this sort of stuff. The same thing we said. So you've got Rasmus, you've got Aronson. Obviously, Llorente is going to go now. Koch's already gone because he's on a free at the end of this contract. Who else is there? Cini, Harrison, Rocker.
Sinistero's permanent, wasn't he?
No.
So he bought him outright.
No,
it was a loan. It was a loan.
No, it's a loan because we loaned Anthony back.
Oh, no, that's right. It was Tyler Adams that was a permanent.
Yeah, Tyler Adams is gone.
Yeah, sorry.
I think the thing with Cini is if we go up, they have to buy him for X amount. If we stay in the championship, they have to buy him for X amount. Someone remind me in the chat. It's a bit of a mad one. Or I think if we go up, we get to keep him. But obviously we'll then sell him, or if we don't go up, someone let me know in the chat. It's a bit of a mad deal, that one. But again, it shows the qualities of the 49ers, really, in putting these sort of mad clauses in. But there is a mad one in there. But
we've forgotten a lot. There's Jack Harrison.
Yeah, Jack
Harrison. Cody Drama.
Drama, yeah. Well,
there's Mark Rocca, who is basically just signaling as loud as he can that he doesn't want to come back to Leeds.
We mentioned him.
Yeah.
There's Max Vober.
Oh yeah. God,
I loved that guy, and now I've forgotten about him.
Yeah. There's Sam Greenwood.
Yeah. He's only 1.5 million though, isn't it? Sam Greenwood will get snapped up by Borough, I think.
Yeah, I think so. He will. I think that's another one where I think it's good for everyone. It's just
I agree.
He needs a move, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. He wasn't gonna. Yeah, you're right.
No.
You're right. So the rest I think we've covered. But
Max Vober's played well from 12 though.
He's played well.
So, yeah, he's clearly doing all right.
Brendan, I gotta say, like I got into a pitched battle a couple weeks ago with some USMNT accounts, which I never recommend anybody to do.
They were the bane of my life during the Jesse era. They were the bane of my life.
And does.
Well, because I said he should stop getting called into the national team. Because he's getting called in and he's sitting, and then they're giving him garbage time minutes against CONCACAF minnows, and even against those opponents, he just seems to have lost it. It's like he has a case of the yips. He just cannot.
Did he ever have it?
I gotta tell you, so watched him in MLS, which obviously isn't the same standard, right? Watched him in the Austrian Bundesliga, which again isn't the same standard. His first 5 matches at Leeds were good. Like he had 5 solid. I remember Thomas Frank raved about him after the Brentford match. He loved him.
All right, yeah.
And
when Chelsea was great.
I thought he was this dynamic player.
He was, and he created loads of chances. He was in the top 10 in the Premier League for chances created. And then he fell off a cliff. And he didn't just fall off a cliff. He fell down a well. And he just hasn't been able to. He did an interview recently with, it was for the national team. And you can tell it's really getting to him. And he's just like, I'd stay after training. I'd do all this stuff. And, because Jesse likes to talk. Jesse basically said that he told him, hey, you need to stop focusing so much about scoring goals and stuff and just try to play the game. Just play. But he's just obsessed with what he's not doing. And he's a young player, but it's an unforgiving. It's a business. And he's not young. 22. Like I rake Melier over the coals for underperforming. You got to rake Brendan for not performing. And yeah, it's sad to see who seems like a really nice kid, his career just completely go up in flames. But maybe this isn't his level. Maybe, I think I said last season, Joe, that I don't think he's a Premier League footballer. May not even be a champion. I think he'd probably do well in the Dutch league where there's loads of time and space. Yes. And even well is relative. Maybe he's an impact sub, but he's certainly not the player that he looked like he was going to be when he was carving up Bayern Munich in the Champions League.
No.
That equity is gone, and I'm glad he's not in and around our club anymore because he's not good enough to be here. It seems though the way he was talking about Leeds, it seems that this was a move his agent thought, hey, you need to get away from the club, get your career on track, and then maybe you can come back. I don't see him ever coming back. It doesn't seem
the club or the environment that's the problem. It's him.
Right. Exactly. But I think that was less that the environment was toxic, but it was more of, hey, if you ever want to get on the right track, come to an environment that's going to be a little bit more comfortable for you because the championship's more physical than the Bundesliga. I argue about different types of quality in the Bundesliga, but it's more physical for sure. But yeah, I don't think he'll ever be the player that people thought he could be. And I think that American fans, hopefully there aren't that many on here, but if you're listening, he's not the player you think he is now. And he needs some time away from the national team and he needs to not come to Leeds United. So yeah, he's had a disappointing loan spell to say the least.
Yeah, it's been a shock. I think. Harrison's done well. We've got.
We knew he would.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, Sinisterra's done bits. I think little bits here and there, but I don't think he's started yet, unless he got an assist.
He started last night.
Did he? Yeah. Did he get an assist last night?
Yeah.
He's Joe. He's the kind of guy who he's never going to know how good he could be because he just does not seem to care. I don't know that he trained super hard. I mean, the reports that he wasn't a serious trainer, the reports last season that he was part of the reason with kind of a lack of cohesion in the Leeds locker room or changing room, as we say in the UK. And I just don't think, for that guy has so much natural talent. It just oozes from him. His quality on the ball, his ability to strike a ball. He should be in that team. He should be starting every single match.
Yeah,
he should be even watching. I know Bournemouth have had a bit of a resurgence, But even watching him, he just doesn't seem on it. And it's kind of a case of, it's almost too bad. It's such, everybody knows this one guy who's great at what he does and just does not apply himself. And you're like, man, if somebody who was a hard worker had half of your graft, or you had half their graft and half of your talent, it'd be exceptional. But I think he's going to be that kind of guy. He's going to retire wondering what he could have accomplished in the game.
I've got a family member who ended up in a Super League academy side. He ended up getting a bad injury, so that it didn't work out for him. But there were a time when he was playing rugby as a kid, and it was like, I'm not sure if I'm bothered, and he couldn't be asked going to training, but he had so much ability, and he had all the attributes for it, and it was just on a plate for him. And if he'd wanted it, he could have gone all the way, And it's so frustrating when there's people like myself who would kill to have some sort of sporting ability and be able to play football. You know what I mean? I'd run my heart out if I got that kind of gig.
Skill can only take you so far, right? You have 100%. To have that elite mentality to be on the training pitch.
But yeah, these guys like that are so good, and then they're not bothered, and they've just got things by default. But they could have so much more. There could be levels above.
Yeah, they say that. Listen, they say that about. I hate to bring him up, but Lampard. Lampard wasn't the most gifted, but he's just never. He was just always on the training pitch. Do you know what I mean? And what is he? Chelsea's top goal scorer or whatever. So yeah.
There's one guy I always think of, and in fact, sadly, there have been a lot of English talents this way, who come up and as a youngster they seem amazing, and then they seem to fall off a cliff. But it's a mentality issue. Jack Rodwell.
Oh,
I remember Jack Rodwell early in his career looked like he was going to be one of England's bests, and it clearly got to his head. And I remember, I'll never forget watching that Sunderland Till I Die.
I was going to say the same. That's why I laughed.
Just saying, like laughing and saying, they're like, "You gonna play?" He's like, "Not a chance." Like, and I'm just like, "Why wouldn't you want to play? You're getting." But it's ridiculous.
All I can remember when I think of Jack Rodwell is do the right thing, Jack. Do the right thing. Cancel your contract from that documentary.
Yeah.
Oh.
He didn't do it, did he?
No, he did.
Quite happy to stay.
No, should he?
No, fair enough. But like, or didn't even just say, "Hey, get me out of here on a deal." Like, no, just.
I mean, he should have applied himself, but he had no. There's no obligation to cancel a contract that someone's happy to give you when it suits them.
Agreed.
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I agree.
You're
maybe
right.
he should have played when he was healthy to play.
I agree with that part, definitely.
He's contracted to play and he didn't play.
In that case, save money by fining him for not playing.
Yeah, and no one's ever going to remember his name except for like in the same way we think of Joey Barton.
Oh, God,
the joke.
Oh, God.
Well, he was on. I've not watched it tonight, but it was on Piers Morgan one day. I'll have to watch it back.
He's an idiot.
What a fool! I had my rant on him earlier in my press conference video. I said it. It's
Why would Piers bring him on? It's exactly what he wants. He just wants to get.
Of course, man. Imagine the views he's got on that tonight. It'll be insane. Wonderful. So he knows what he's doing.
But that's Piers' target audience, isn't it? People full of bile and hate.
Oh, they'll love it. Right, last thing I want to talk about, folks. Junior Firpo, right? There keeps being this noise that Betis want him, they don't want him. I don't see, like, where my head's at, why would Betis want him? Like, he's left them and not done anything since. So I don't know if there's any validity to this. Obviously, Fabrizio's a few times leaked stuff out, and I remember in the summer he said it, loads of clubs want him, and I was like, well, where are they? I don't know who's leaking him this. It must be agent stuff, but I think his time's up at Leeds United. But is there any way you see him leaving in January, folks, or are we just going to be stuck with him?
Hopefully.
Stuck with
him. To the leaving part.
Yeah. What about you, Gabe? Do you see anyone coming in for a guy that's basically a crock, which is what he is? I'm not. People tell me, people have a go at me, and say, you can't say that.
No way.
No, they say, like, how can you say that? But for me, there is a certain amount of application that a player must do to make sure he's fit. And I'm not sure Firpo gives us that. Because Daniel Farker in his presser said, oh, yeah, he had a whatever strain it was, and he's been out as long as an ACL. Yet you have people like Byram and Strauch who are going for operations and are back within 2 weeks. You can't tell me they have the same
The only thing I'll say to that, Joe, is, like, hamstrings are weird. Like, it's one of those parts of the body Now, Joe, when you grow up, no, I'm just kidding. It's one of those parts.
Are you older than me, Gib?
Yeah, probably. I'm
how go on. I'm
30.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. 3 years on me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
look good for your age, mate.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Right. With COVID, by the way, mind you.
Yeah.
No, the hamstrings are weird because it's one of those injuries that on paper you should be able to recover faster than like an ACL, but having had some, like, you can heal back up and then you get on the pitch. It actually happened to Tyler Adams right when he came back for Bournemouth, and he was just out another eternity. They're just weird injuries. Look, the larger point about Junior Firpo is I don't think he's a good fit for Leeds United. No. We were talking about this before we came on. I just think it hasn't worked out. Maybe he'll be successful other places. Some players don't play well away from home. They don't acclimate to a city. They come here to play for a particular manager. That doesn't work out. You could hear it in the interview that he really wanted to play for Marcelo Bielsa. That obviously didn't work out for him. I'm not sure this is going to be... It clearly hasn't worked. Jay was saying that as well. It's not worked out for either party. Yeah, I would like for us to be able to move him on. Now, I love that he goes on the podcast, and I love that he says he wants to be here. I appreciate that he's committed as long as he's here. And I think that's what that means. It doesn't mean, hey, if given every option in the world, I would choose Leeds United. I don't believe that for a second. Bullshit. I do believe, though, that he's trying to get fit and play, because if you don't recoup value, no one's going to even come close to the valuation. You're not going to leave. So if he really wants to leave, the best thing he can do is stay fit and get on the pitch and play well. And I think he knows that. He's not a fool. He's been through some pretty elite sides. So do I see it happening in January? No, not with our left back depth issues. I don't think we're going to bring in another left back, especially on loan. I just don't see it happening. I want us to, but I think
we will. I think that'll be the first position we go for.
But what I'm saying is I don't think we're going to do a lot of business. Well, I think we'll be lucky to sign 2 players in January.
I'd agree.
Yeah. Now, I hope I'm wrong. Man, I hope I'm wrong. That would be great. But only on loans, by the way. But, I just think he's going to look at Byram. He's going to say, Byram's solid, and Firpo's fine in replacement.
It's going to be the first January for me that I remember in years where I'm not going to be nervous or desperate to see someone come in.
Yeah.
I'm desperate. This is hamstring
I'm definitely desperate to see some in. We'll see though. Clark Maynard says, Palace fan here. Thank you for watching, mate. He said, any players you want first dibs on when we swap places next season?
Chris
There'd be
Richards,
a lot, mate.
The only American I want at this club. Chris Richards.
I'd take Raksaki on loan in January. I think he's got his first start this time though. I don't know what his minutes have been like, but yeah, take him on loan this season. But yeah, Eberici Eze, but Palace will stay up, mate. Regardless of what you think of your fixtures, Sheffield United, Burnley are going down. And probably Luton. Everton beat bloody Newcastle tonight 3-0.
Everton may get another points deduction. I would love it. I would love for them to find the form of their life and get deducted like 20 points by the Premier League and
That'd
go down.
Amazing.
And watch that bean pie eating Sean Dyche back in the Championship. Oh, I would love nothing more.
I just want to see the fans. I want to see the fans kick off more. That guy will be getting back on Magic Bus so he can go all the way down to Premier League just to like stick twos up at him and get back on bus.
Have you ever seen that guy who lights his arm on fire?
No. What's happened to the Middlesbrough guy? What do you think happened to him?
He goes like this, right? He's got an Everton tattoo on his arm.
I've seen that.
And he pours lighter fluid on it and then just burns his arm.
Yeah, it were a few years ago.
Yeah, it's bad. Martin says, still think Matt Targett is a shout. There's not a chance Newcastle let any players leave because of how many injuries they've got. So I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, I think we will. I think we'll get a couple in. We have to. Can't stand still. Regardless, we have to. Because we don't want to look back and say, "Oh, if we'd have only got this, we'd have only got that." So I think we must. We must in order to.
We don't want a what-if situation, do we?
No. Before we finish, quick question, folks. I think by January we'll be in the top 2. Okay, by January the 1st. This is after January the 1st's game. Okay, between now and then, I think we've got like 7 fixtures. Ipswich have the whatever derby it is against Norwich, which will be a huge game for them.
Whatever derby.
Yeah, where is it? I don't know what.
Is it Norfolk Derby? Is it
Norfolk Derby? Yeah, Norfolk.
Look at my geography,
maybe.
guys.
Yeah, I think it's Norfolk Derby.
Yes.
So you've got that. You've got they play us and they play Leicester. So I'm hoping they have a big drop off. But do you go along with my sentiment that we'll be top 2 by January the 1st?
It's a big ask.
It's a tight window.
A big ask. It is.
I'd love to say yeah, but I'm not confident enough to say so. I'm on the fence on that. We've got a really tough run right at the end of December when we have Ipswich, Preston, and West Brom, one after the other. That's going to be pretty telling. Is that period for us?
I was wrong.
Someone said Ipswich in Suffolk, so it's the Norfolk versus Suffolk, then, isn't it? So It is the East Anglian derby, but it's quite a big thing for them. So that's
Russ, proving me wrong.
Russ knows everything.
Yeah, he does. He is quite knowledgeable. He's very knowledgeable.
I think it's going to be beginning of February, Joe. I just see it's too tight of a window. If we do, I think it's going to be February on. I think that, again, we're in a great run of form. I still think it's not that we haven't found a gear. We have. But I think, just to use motorbike terms, we could rev the motor a little bit more. RPM could be a little bit higher. We could be going a little bit faster. Once we do that, if we do that, injuries notwithstanding, it's a long season.
100%.
I can see us in the top 2 by February. But I think earlier than that, it's a little bit. It would be great if you were right. But
yeah,
I said no chance recently, but I think we may get there. But not by January. I don't think.
I hope
it could go to the wire for whether we end up in playoffs or top 2.
I don't want the playoffs.
I don't
want the playoffs.
I don't mind a playoff.
They're not for us.
Of course, you don't mind the playoffs. That's what American sports.
You guys are so superstitious, man. I deal with Oscar and Connor and Brownie on this as well. It's like the superstition around these kind of things is incredible.
I've got traumatic memories. I mean, I went to the Doncaster playoff final. I watched the Derby game when I was working on bases in Afghanistan at the time. I was sat in a TV room with no alcohol on my own, watching that, and I'm a little traumatized.
Yeah, that would
by
traumatize
playoffs.
anybody.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Wasn't good.
No, definitely not. Well, lads, I think we'll leave it there. We've done up to an hour. It's been a really, really fun chat. Just chewing the fat, as it were. Thank you both for giving up your time this lovely Thursday evening. Anything happening on No Better, Jay, that you want to share with the folks?
Oh, Jesus. I love when I get put on the spot because I can't think. We'll obviously have a B&C after the Blackburn game, but I don't know if it's going to be sort of Sunday or Monday at this point because we're useless, but hopefully it'll be Sunday. But there are a few of us going to a Christmas party on the Saturday evening, so we may be a little bit incapacitated, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, so just main pods as usual on the Tuesdays usually, and the B&Cs after the game. Just keep an eye out.
Yeah, definitely do, folks. And Gabe,
and enter our Pyro shirt competition.
All right,
on Twitter.
There you
when he scores 10 goals, we'll give it away.
Oh, nice. Okay, how far are we away from that now?
I think 1 out away or something.
Yeah, actually,
that's how organised I am.
Danny Rumsey, you in the chat actually said the other week that Joe Pirro wouldn't score 10 goals. I swear that's what he said. I swear that's what he said.
When did he say that? Because he was on 6 for a while.
Only about 2 weeks ago, bro. Really? Not even that a week ago.
He's never going to score again.
He had a couple of games where he kind of was a passenger and were anonymous, but
that's it. 2 goals. Yeah, 2 goals.
You can't.
So Danny is. Yeah, we remember Danny. We remember.
It's the life of a striker, isn't it? Hot and cold.
Yeah, true.
I'm not sure
what's going on.
Did I serve?
Oh, you can tell it's time for bed, can't you? Gabe, what's going on One Leeds, brother? Do you know? Do you get told?
Oh, I get told? We have a bunch of new stuff coming up. I don't think it's been announced yet, so I'm going to leave that to Connor. But we're going to be doing a whole lot more. I like to think of shows as products, so I think we have. You can tell I work at Tech. We have new products coming out here very soon, and we're very, very excited about them. So. Yeah, you can find us at, obviously One Leeds fan channel, and my rinky-dink channel where I rant about things sort of semi-associated with football at Gabe the American. But
I'm going to start watching you guys, Gabe, because you sound like you know what you're talking about, and I'm not used to that on podcasts. So, I mean, with our podcast, because none of us know what's going on.
The hustle is strong
weekend
here.
Or anything.
Do you know what? Your mate raked me over the coals. He got me really good as well. So when you set up. I think I won the Melier thing, but he won the thing after that. So when you set up your Twitter account, I set it up for business because I have my personal stuff. I wanted it separated, and it said, "Well, what division?" I was like, "Well, it doesn't say social media," so I hit media personality. Oh my god, that guy burned me. He wrote it about 6 times. He just wrote media personality. LOL. Yeah,
it was Luke. It was Luke.
Was it Luke?
Yeah, no, it was funny.
To be fair, Luke's not usually like being personal. He just likes a bit of banter.
Oh no, it was funny. I laughed. I genuinely did laugh about it. So I can acknowledge a good burn.
Just remind him that he tattoos his hair on his head if he says out to you.
Oh, there you go. Then. That's a new one for us all. There you go. Right, folks, smash a like on the video if you're watching it on the rewatch. Make sure you check out these lovely folks on their respective channels as well. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, so we'll have the big match preview live on the evening sometime. So make sure you tune into that, and probably something during the day because there's news all the time at the minute. Peace out, folks. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening.